Chicago wasn't ready for an outspoken player like an Angel Reese, which shout out to her, man. Dude, she's standing on 10 toes on all her business, and she's been doing her damn thing. I don't think what she said or supposedly had said was too appalling. She wants to put a winning team around her. Yes, 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 yes. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, y'all. It's Please Excuse My Balls, brought to you by Dear Legacy Sports. It's your boy, Kevin B. the Brand, and this is episode 20. Man, y'all, I just got back from the garden. Well, I was back. I had to update a few things before I jumped on here, but what a game. Uh the Hornets is a pesky little team, man. Went out there to the game down at the Garden. It was a boys' night for me and Caden. It was Jason Tatum bobblehead night, so had to take him out there for his favorite player. He had a blast. Um, he got to see Jason Tatum, obviously, and got his bobblehead, got his T-shirt, got all his favorites going on. It was a pretty cool night, and then we got to see the Celtics win. You know, the boy told me it was like less than 2 minutes left, and I was like, "Yo, I think we got this one in the bag right here." He ain't gonna tell me why you gonna jinx it for. There's still a lot of time left. I was like, excuse me, brother. I didn't know you was that deep into it. But one thing for sure, we're gonna talk about it a little bit later on. But the Hornets, and Atlanta Hawks is two teams that teams at the top better beware of. You match up with them, they're gonna be that team where you should, in theory, take care of a lower seed team in about 5 games, but I don't see those two teams just giving up in 5. Like, they're the type of team that's gonna annoy you along the way and take it to a 6. And if you allow it to get to a 7-game series, and anything goes, they playing with house money at that point. They wouldn't go away, and it took us about 3.5 quarters for us to figure it out, but we did. And we started playing Celtics ball, led by JB. It was a good night. Traffic wasn't bad either, so that's always good. A Tuesday night, it was very slam packed in there. But let's just go ahead and jump into the show. More basketball talk a little bit later on. I gotta go upstairs and pack soon. I'm getting on a flight in the morning, and I'm not even packed yet, but because I had to sit down and make sure that I had all this ready to go for the editor to get on time. You dig? So let's jump right into the kickoff. The kickoff is where we cover headlines around the world of sports. First things first, let's just put this out there. The champs are here. Michigan Wolverines win the NCAA national championship. More to come on that one. And the UCLA Bruins women are national champions this year. Shout out to both programs. Shout out to the UCLA Bruins women for winning for the first time in school history, in Michigan for the first time since '89, I believe. That's 5 years, right? But yeah, congrats to those. We will dig a little bit deeper into that one. Lord Jesus, can I talk? In other news, Angel Reese is traded from the Chicago Sky to the Atlanta Dream for 2 first-round picks. I like this move. I think if you look at what Chicago was doing out there, I don't think they was like the league. I think the WNBA was not ready for the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark phenomena. Indiana just figured it out a little bit quicker with the Fever. It took them a second, but I think Chicago wasn't ready for an outspoken player like an Angel Reese, which shout out to her, man. Dude, she's standing on 10 toes on all her business. And she's been doing her damn thing. I don't think what she said or supposedly had said was too appalling. She wants to put a winning team around her. You know what I mean? Like, let's build something and actually be competitive. And if you don't like that, and you don't like being called out, then by all means, trade her. You get 2 first-round picks. That's great for your organization, and she gets a change of scenery. And I think in Atlanta she'll thrive. the within the city. I think within the things that she stands for, the businesses that she's the brand that she's building. Shout out to her. I think Atlanta Dream got them something there. We'll see if they could continue to stay competitive, right? What else I got for you guys in the kickoff segment? Let's jump over to, because I don't got a segment for this, but I'm gonna throw this out there for you guys right now. You know, this World Cup is on U.S. soil this year, U.S. soil in the Americas. So I believe there's games definitely in Mexico, definitely in the United States, and I think there's something that's gonna be hosted in Canada as well. But the World Cup final teams are set with the 48 qualified, all set to kick off June 11th, which is perfect timing, right? Because basketball's over, football is not really in the swing of stuff. Baseball is at the beginning stage of its 182 game season. It's a great filler. WNBA will be in full swing, but not everybody's really caught on to the WNBA yet. They will at some point. I'll be watching quite a few games this season, but this is great for those fans that are sports fans and looking for something else. And then the football soccer people, they have something to look forward to as well, right? So let's see what these groups are looking like. Group A has Mexico, South Africa, Korea Republic, Chechnya. Group B has Canada, Bosnia, Qatar, and Switzerland. Group C is going to have Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. Shout out to Group C. You know what I mean? Either way, we went in Brazil or Scotland or Haiti. Shout out to the homeland country of my parents. Group D features my homeland, USA, Paraguay, Austria, and Turkey. I hope I said it right because they changed the way they wanted it to be said. Group E, Germany, Morocco, Cote d'Ivoire. Somebody please let me know where this place is. I've never even heard of it. And Ecuador round out Group E. In Group F, you got Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, and Tanzania. In Group G, you have Belgium, Egypt, Iran, New Zealand. Group H features Spain, Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. Group I has France, Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. Group J is going to feature Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Group K is going to feature Portugal, DR Congo, Uzbekistan, Colombia, and then the last group, Group L, is going to feature England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. And that's what I have for you guys in the kickoff in the world of sports. Not much happening in the headlines unless it's in the NBA, and NCAA just wrapped it all up. So I'm gonna jump right into those type of stuff. Before we do that, we have to stop into the king of sports. This is where we cover the NFL, y'all. What's going on in the NFL? Couple of headlines came out of the NFL recently. Kirk Cousins is going to sign with the Las Vegas Raiders on a 5-year, $172 million deal, $20 million fully guaranteed on the first year. Guys, it's a 1-year deal. Even if they decide to hold on to him for a second year, it's nothing guaranteed. Depending on what the cap hit is, how they built the team around them, the development of Mendoza is going to dictate if Kirk Cousins stays on with the Las Vegas Raiders as a solid backup. But that type of cap hit that you'll be taking if you do bring him on and stay on, I don't see that happening. I think this is a 1-year mentor deal where Mendoza could learn from Kirk Cousins. And I think Las Vegas is doing it right. You go out and you sign Kirk Cousins. You're essentially telling the people, hey, listen, we're going to develop this kid. We're not going to be that team that's going to get a high draft pick and just throw him out to the wolves on a bad team that we saw was bad last year. We got to build it, develop it, and why go damage this product that we have that we see as the future of our franchise, right? I think this is, for me, when I saw this come along, I was like, damn, the Raiders are doing it right. Because I wish all teams would do it like this. I understand you have the shiny new toy and you want to put it out there because you're paying it so much money. Sometimes you got to protect that investment. I don't care what the number is for a first round pick. Let it develop itself. Keep building that team. Take the year. Let them get accustomed to the playbook, practice reps, and you got preseason to get a couple game reps, you know what I mean? And learn from a solid veteran like a Kirk Cousins. I think for me, This is a big, big, big signing for the Las Vegas Raiders. Especially when you're talking about you hit the reset button on the whole goddamn franchise altogether. So, and you have the running back in Genty, you have a couple key pieces that you're gonna build around, and now you're saying, "Hey, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna take our time and let this thing develop to what it's gonna be." And next year, or maybe towards the back end of this season, when you really, I don't see you making any type of run, but towards the back end of the year, when you know, like, all right, you go to Kirk Cousins on week 14, 15, and like, hey, we're gonna let the young fella rock. You know what I mean? We want to see him in some live action games before we turn this thing over next year, right? Build a little bit of momentum. Again, I love what the Raiders just did with this signing. Going from the Las Vegas Raiders over to the New York Football Giants. Well, their star player just requested a trade. He's tired of it. Apparently, for defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, he requested a trade from the New York Football Giants. Apparently, he's been fighting with the organization for about like 2 years, trying to get a new deal done. Because we've seen over the past few years, defensive tackles money has exploded onto the market, and he's trying to get a piece of his pie as well, right? So he's been trying to get with the organization to restructure his deal and make it more lucrative for him, right? He is one of their best players, if not the only best player that they have right now. And you just started a whole new regime. It's unfortunate. He requested a trade. Does that mean you're gonna get a trade? No. New York Football Giants got you under contract. If you don't want to play, then sit out, and we'll start finding you and not paying you game checks, and let's see who's gonna blink first. Um, in my opinion, I don't know what his number is. I don't know what y'all been negotiating over these past few years, but it is a pillar type player. I don't know too much on his injury prone record or whatever the case may be, but when he's on the field, he produces. And you know you have something there with Jackson Dart. You're gonna be getting back Scatterboo and with the running game, and now you have a piece like that on defense. I say New York, figure it out, man. Figure it out, and let's see if you can keep this player that you drafted in house, right? Speaking of, April 23rd, we're a few weeks away. 2 weeks away before young men's lives change. Everything that they've been working for their whole life, since they're 5 years old at playing Pop Warner, someone's going to hear their names be called across the screen by either the commissioner, the deputy commissioner, or by a representative from the team. Either way, however they do it, and the last day, you're gonna see your name go across a ticker. You know what I mean? You record that and you save it, because your life instantly changed right there. Those in the later rounds, uh, don't use it as motivation. Don't use it as something where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is where I got drafted. Use that motivation. Put that chip on your shoulder. You know, end of the day, Tom Brady was drafted 199th in the 6th round. Look what he became. There's been plenty of players that was drafted later in the rounds that had amazing careers, gone on to win championships, gone on to be all pros. Because there's certain things that you just can't measure, right? You can't measure heart, you can't measure discipline, you can't measure a lot of these things. And there's a lot of players that's gone in the first, second, and third round that just washed out a year, 2 years later, you know? So just because your name is not called by the commissioner or the deputy commissioner, listen, you made it to the NFL. You're in an elite club. Nobody could ever take that away from you. You was drafted, and those that are not drafted, you get to go pick. You know how great it is to pick where you want to go. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they might not have chose to pick your name, but now your agent got to go do his job, and then he's gonna go. You want to go play in New England. You want to go play in Vegas. You want to go put that star on because you grew up wanting to be a Cowboy fan. Here's your opportunity. Go earn it. Go show the Dallas Cowboys or the New England Patriots or the Las Vegas Raiders or Seattle Seahawks that they made a decision. They made a bad decision by not picking you, and then when it's contract time in 4 years, make them pay. But that's what I got for you guys in the world of football. Real quick, we're gonna jump into the hunt real quick. This is where we cover everything inside the Major League Baseball, and by everything I mean my Red Sox. Guys, it's way too early for this shit. It is way too early for this. Uh, it's so goddamn early, but I can't. You can't turn on sports radio in Boston. You can't turn on the TV to hear people talking about this. It's insanely dumb, but yet I I wanna freak out, but at the same time, I'm not really paying attention. So it's nothing for me to freak out about until I start hearing other people freak out about this, right? So the Red Sox dropped another game yesterday. It bounced back today, but yesterday they did drop another game, and when they did lose yesterday, they dropped to 2-8. Today they won. They had a bounce back game and they won three, and now they're 3-8, right? On this early season of 182 games. That's why it's hard for me to freak out because I've watched people go on bad runs for like 10, 15, 20 games and still end up in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing when it comes to baseball. It's like this ain't football. This ain't basketball. It's not like you lose in the NFL. You lose 3 games in a row, your season might be over. You're shutting players down. You're trading players, and you're looking towards a draft. And in basketball, you go on a 15 game losing streak. You start reconsidering a couple things. Baseball, lose 20, 30 games, and you still could probably end up in the playoffs. It's just it's weird, man. But everybody going crazy in Boston, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is the last time the Red Sox started at 2-8, and all those 8 other times they didn't make the playoffs. All right, maybe this is the year that they change that and they do make the playoffs. You've all been telling me about the young talent that we have. We have the pitching. We went out and got the bats, but for some reason it's just not clicking. For some reason, the offensive power is not there. The pitching is not there. The like Joe Mazzulla like to say, the margin stuff they're not doing. Because when I go back and I look at, okay, what happened, what was the runs, how many people were stranded on base, how many people got on base, what was the pitch count, how many, where did we pull pitchers at, how many pitches do we have to use in one game? You know what I mean? When you start looking at those, you start to realize that it's the margins. We're not winning in the margins right now. And this is things that maybe this team is just gelling and trying to figure out their way. And sometimes slumps just happen. And I get it. A lot of you guys are freaking out because we're 5.5 games behind the first place Yankees. Whoop de freaking do. They done bought every bat in the world that the LA Dodgers couldn't get their hands on. So for you to not be in first place would be asinine in this place, right? Like I said, I'm not watching the games all the way to. I haven't watched one game. All I've been doing is catching highlights. I'm not gonna sit here and try to lie to you guys like I'm sitting in some aficionado or watching all these games. No, not this early. And then in the summertime when I normally would start paying into the Red Sox, the World Cup's playing this year and Haiti's in the World Cup. So I'm probably not gonna pay attention to the Red Sox till after the World Cup is over, right before basketball and football really goes into the swing of things, and then it'll be time for the playoffs. So we'll see what happens then. Like I said, it's a long ass season, 182 games. There's no need for us to be that jumping off of rules already. Like, oh my God, burn it all down. Like, come on, man, let's relax. Y'all the same people that was freaking out when the Celtics started 0-3. Me too. I was freaking out too. I ain't gonna lie to you guys, because they couldn't rebound for shit, and they got rid of all these players. So I was in a little bit of freak out mode with the Celtics when they started 0-3. But at the same time, I believed in JB, and I felt as though we was gonna turn this thing around. Did I see all of this? No. But I didn't see 37, whatever that weirdo said that we was predicted to win 37 games. Shut the fuck up. This guy, we got Jaylen Brown. You must be crazy. Anyways, we're talking about the Red Sox. Before I get out of Major League Baseball, let's not get this twisted. It's still the Yankees suck. Yankees suck. And I will make it to Fenway when they do play the Yankees, just so I could chant that. I don't care if you're beating our heads in 20 to freaking 3. I'm still going to be chanting it because that's just the way I was raised. That's how I was brought up. I'm do or die Boston through and through. And if we suck, we suck. It is what it is. Even as we suck, it's still Yankees suck bigger. All right. That's all I got on that one. Let's move outside of the and jump right into Beyond the Lines. This is where we cover the game of golf, tennis, and other sports. Yeah, it's not really other sports. It's mostly golf and tennis when we're talking about like the majors. That's about it. I don't really dissect the golf stuff. If you're new to here, guys, I just tell you who won the last tournament, what tournament they're coming into, any type of headlines is coming. Because is I'm not gonna sit here and try to break down the game in golf. I know the guys that I like. I know the courses that they play fairly well in. But I'm not these other guys that are true to life pundits. I just fell in love with a game very later on in life, and I fell in love with a lot of these other players, and I find myself rooting for them. And I could sit there and watch a whole weekend of golf and be perfectly fine. Now you put a baseball game in front of me, I'm gonna be struggling. If it ain't the playoffs, I'm gonna struggle to watch that one. I'm gonna probably fall asleep. But anyways, last week we saw JJ Spawn win the Valero Texas Open, and we finally made it, y'all. It's Masters Week, the first of the granddaddies. You know what I mean? Defending champ Rory is there, ready to defend, and his name is at the top of the leaderboard to actually win it. It'll be the first one to go back to back since. Did Scotty do it, or is Tiger was the last one to do a back to back at the Masters? I love the field. The field looks amazing. Even though we have no Tiger and no Phil, Tiger for his reasons, Phil chose not to play for whatever his reasons may be. Those are icons of the game, and to not see them around the game and not them not being injured is you see the coming of the end, right? But I like to see Colin Morikawa is back. He pulled out of the Valero Texas Open last week due to back spasms. Shefty's back with his 9-day-old baby at the Masters. He had to take a couple weeks off to, be home with his newborn. And it's the Masters. But pack that baby up and let's go, man. That's why we make all this money. And we fly in private. And now they're down in Augusta. Rom is in the field. You can't count him out. I don't know how good he'll play. Rom is still Rom. He could turn it on at any given time. I wish he still played on the tour, but he chose to go to Live. And some of the guys from Live, they either gonna be hot and streaky like a DeChambeau, Brooks. That now that he's back with the PGA Tour, the field's deep. If I was gonna put money on somebody, Shefty's in the field. Shefty's in the field, and defending champ Rory got chip on his shoulder. He would love to come back and defend it, right? But at the same time, he got it already. He's good. But Shefty trying to come and get his third green jacket, that'd be something that he wants to do. And he missed a couple weeks. Why not come out? But you don't know if that's gonna create any type of rust for Shefty along the way, right? Ain't nothing nice when you playing these rolling hills of Augusta, and when you turn an A-man corner, Lord, you say that little prayer, but it ain't over yet, So that's what I got for you guys inside Beyond the Lines. Let's go ahead and jump inside Campus Legends. The champs are here. The champs are here. But before we go and jump into the champs, let's address the elephant in the room. Y'all know I'm a big UConn fan. Those are my teams, both men and women, especially my women's UConn Huskies. After UConn goes down, the altercation between Gino and Don Staley. So here's my thing on it. I'm not gonna harp too much on it. Gino knows he was wrong. We all saw it. It was almost on some like old man on the porch type situation. It looked man, you talk about being wrong and doubling down on some situations. Now, he could feel how he feels about whatever it is. He had his explanation onto why he was upset, and he said something to Dawn about it at the end of the game, and then didn't want to shake her hand, apparently. But it is, it's not cool. It took away from what South Carolina did. Whether you believe that South Carolina beat them or UConn beat themselves, I'm a firm believer UConn chose the worst time to have one of their worst games. But we'll talk about that afterwards. We're on the Gino and Don thing. I think Gino is one of the greatest to ever do it. and he just had one of the worst moments of his life. As somebody who's been a fan of UConn since the early '90s, when it was winning championships, and that's how I became a UConn Huskies fan, was because of Gino and the program that he built. It was a little disheartening to see that situation play out the way it played out. And then when he apologizes, he kind of doesn't really apologize at the same time. He doubles down at the podium. Even like the torn jersey situation and going off on Holly at the during halftime about coaches and officiating and jerseys being ripped. And I'm like, wait, hold on, rewind. Did they rip it prior to? Because I could have sworn I just watched her rip it herself, but like I said, man, it's one of those situations. It was an ugly situation. I think I saw something that said today that he issued out another apology to Dawn Staley. Okay. It doesn't take away that my whole thing when you look at it's either Gino was being old man and senile, or he saw the writings on the wall and he's just trying to distract from the meltdown that UConn had. And that's what I'm gonna call it. I can't be a fan and not call out what I see. You had one of the worst games of your seasons, and then it didn't help that it seemed as if South Carolina came with the game plan and knew what they wanted to do, and then you just fed into it and could never come back from it. As one of the greatest coaches to ever do this thing, it's almost as if you got out coached that day and you was upset about that, and you didn't like the fact that whatever else was happening in the background, so you use that noise to your advantage. You're better than that. I expect better from you. I expect more from you, and I expect a championship. You still have one of your strongest players. She's only in her second year. You could build around that. You're one of the best to recruit, obviously. And let's see if we can hit the reset button and go on another long run of victories. All right. That's what I got on that one. In other headline news, UNC is going outside of the family and hiring Mike Malone. Mike Malone is former head coach of the Denver Nuggets, is now going to be the head coach of the North Carolina. I like this move. A lot of people saying Billy Donovan, and then I heard you suckers out there trying to take Brad Stevens away from my Celtics. Leave him alone. I'm glad y'all fill this position quick, fast, in a hurry. All right. I like this move also because you're talking about a coach. I believe Coach Malone was in Denver for about 15 seasons. You're talking about somebody who was part of the development of the Joker. Won a championship. Was competitive for years for a stretch of period before he got let go as a Denver head coach. He did some analyst work, and now he's going to the college realms. Right? He's never coached on a college realm since he's been an assistant coach when he first started his career, and then jumped over into the pros and has been in the pros ever since. He goes to college, and he is going to take a staff like when Bill Belichick went down to North Carolina. Speaking of North Carolina out here, like, you know what? We're not looking for the next it thing. We're gonna get the guys that was at the pro level that could use that pro level calling card to go and do the recruiting that they'll need to turn these programs around. Right? UNC is one of those programs that do need to turn some things around. Especially when you're talking about down the street, you have Duke that was has been recruiting his ass off. Getting the some of the top recruits to come over to their program these past couple of years. We're talking about generational talents of Cooper Flag, and then a superstar in the making in the Boozer kid, right? So I like this move for UNC. It's going to take Mike. Has to go out there and put a good staff together around him that understands the world of the NCAA, that could go out there and help him with the recruiting. Because going out there and saying that, hey, look, what I did for Joker's career and all this other stuff is going to be great until you now need to go learn the NIL world. This ain't the college that you left years ago. This is a different college world. And you're going to have to stamp it right? So UNC, great hire for you guys. Great move from Mike Malone, who came out of left field. Nobody even seen this coming, right? It was him, Billy Donovan, Brad Stevens, some other coaches' names being mentioned. Even the Michigan coach was mentioned. The Arizona Wildcats coach was mentioned, to the point where they had to sit at the podium before their matches to say that, hey, no, I'm good. I have nothing to do with this situation over here. So shout out to UNC and getting their next guy. So we addressed the elephant in the room. We talked about the new coach coming in North Carolina. But the reason why we're in the Campus Legends right now is because we crowned some new champions. But before we crowned those champions, we had to play some games. So let's just jump right into it. Friday night, we saw the women kick it off with my number one UConn Huskies, who decided, like I said earlier, picked the wrong time to have the worst game of their season. You're talking about, I think throughout the whole entire season, I think the UConn Huskies maybe had a couple of close games. And by closer, you're talking about within 10, 12 points. I'd have to go back and fact check myself, but you're talking about a team that was averaging about 88 points a game since the tournament started, blowing out teams left and right. Their starters are just dropping 20 points. 20 points easy in their sleep, rolling up to the arena. And then you have South Carolina, who let's not get it twisted. Also, South Carolina has had your number. South Carolina does have championship pedigree, and they came in with a right game plan. I'm not gonna lie to you. They came with a game plan. They switched up their lineup, and they played defense like there was no tomorrow. The ball hawks that was out there, that was just getting into the bodies of them, playing physical. It was almost as if like the physical play threw my UConn Huskies off. And then I started thinking, I was like, yo, we've played a lot of good teams throughout the season. It wasn't like we was out here just beating scrubs. We beat a lot of these teams that was in the tournament, right? And I could sit here and try to say we chose the wrong time to have one of our worst games. Yes, that two things could be true. You picked the wrong time to have one of your worst games, but at the same time, I think South Carolina came in with a great mindset. They came in with a great game plan, and they executed it to the T. Hence, the Gamecocks out here they didn't beat us. They beat us down. They put belt to ass and sent us on our merry way and said, you could take all those wins on the road back to Connecticut with you. They beat the Huskies 62-48. Convincing win. They left no doubt. There was no buzzer beater situation where you could be like, man, UConn would have been nah. They whooped that ass. And that's why I said earlier when I started this segment, when I was talking about the elephant in the room, that I do believe that is part of the problem why Gino was going nuts so out there, because of the simple fact that I nobody saw this. We had UConn Huskies, and this is not just me being a fan. Everybody had the UConn Huskies going all the way, winning it all. We didn't know who was going to slow them down. Now, granted, I was scared of whoever was going to come out of that UCLA Texas game because of their size and the physical play that they play with. You know what I mean? But I knew UConn would be able to figure it out and then win it all. That was my pick. I'm not going to sit here and try to act like they weren't my pick. Yeah, that was my pick. I had them winning it all. But South Carolina had different mindset, and shout out to them. They punched their ticket that night to go to play for a chance to play for the national championship. Later on that night, game showed us what March Madness is all about. Texas, another team that been dominating every team that they played during this March Madness, and even to the point where I was sitting there, I was like, yo, Texas is going to be a problem. I like UCLA because I like bets, but what I saw at in the Texas game, man, they got shooting, they got quickness, they got athleticism, they're big, they're tall, they're athletic. I'm like, they're gonna be hard to beat, because I'm saying, looking at it like, all right, I know I'm putting my UConn in the championship game, but like either one of those teams that's coming out, whether it be UCLA or Texas, they were scary, right? And when I watched that game, like it's not similar to my UConn Huskies, but Texas also had like they picked a weird time to not play and elevate to the games that they've been doing, right? You're talking about teams that were averaging 80 plus points a game throughout this whole thing. Could barely, the Longhorns didn't even score 50 points. You know what I mean? So it's like UCLA came in there, they asserted themselves early and fast and didn't allow Texas to come back. And thus winning and punching their ticket with a game victory 51-44, sending the UCLA Bruins to the championship for an opportunity to play for their first title in school history on the women's side. Sometimes you can't fight fate. Some things happen and you just know, like, damn, it's their time. And watching that Texas UCLA game, like I said, I'm a fan of bets. And I'm not gonna say here like I was a fan since the very beginning. No, I became a fan during March Madness. Because it slows down and they're playing on normal Eastern Conference Eastern Standard Time. Though those teams that play out west, which irks my nerves, because I'm a big time Juju Watkins fan. I be staying up to watch Juju play. But seeing those teams that play out west, it's so hard to watch their games sometimes because it comes on so late. I'm old, man. Can't be staying up that late watching all these damn games. Then all I got is the highlights, and you can't rely on just highlights sometimes. Because if I was just relying on highlights, then UCLA, I would have never thought there was something that serious until I started watching them play, and I'm like, yo, they kind of nice over there. But I also had them getting knocked out earlier. So I'm not going to say here like, oh, I've been known this. No, I didn't. I thought Texas would have went far. I forget who I picked to play in the national championship against UConn, but I was so focused in saying that UConn was going to win it all. It didn't matter who was going to be in the championship. That's how much I believed that UConn was going to win it all. Like, I watched you guys all season. But bad games happen, and that's what I love about March Madness. March Madness does not give you another opportunity. You can't have a bad game. You have to show up every freaking time. And I said this. Before the tournament started. When teams started losing games in the season, and I'm like, yo, you losing some of these games to teams that you're not supposed to be losing to. You don't want to do that in March. Because ain't no tomorrow when you lose in March. All right? So let's go ahead and jump into the Saturday game. Saturday game saw the men's side of the Final Four kick off. And you saw the number one Michigan Wolverines dismantle the number one Arizona Wildcats, 91-73, to lock their spot into the national championship game. Watching that game, I I I was watching that game and I was like, there's no way, no matter how much of a fan I am, there's no way UConn or the Fighting Illini from Illinois was going to beat one of those two teams. And then when I saw how Michigan played around with Arizona, who I had going to the championship, and then at one point I had them winning it all. And then when I did the second chance bracket, and I saw UConn was still fighting and clawing, and I was like, oh, screw it, I'm going back to my team then. Let's put my fan hat on. Let's make this run right here. But originally I had Arizona winning it all. I thought that was the most complete team, and I don't think I ever really paid attention to the Wolverines the way I needed to. Oh my God. Excuse me. It's late. 1:30 in the morning. Still got to pack. But this Red Bull's going to keep me alive. I'll sleep on the plane. Don't cry for me, Argentina. All right. Later on that day, my number 2 UConn Huskies take care of business to punch their ticket for the third time in 4 years in a national championship game. With a convincing win over number 3 Fighting Illini of Illinois, 71-62. But that night, I was like, I love the story of UConn. I love the fact that they punched their ticket into the national championship game. But with the girls already losing, all those people up here in New England was probably already upset. And not only because the women lost, but because the deal with Jordan's Furniture was both teams had to get to the championship. Only one made it to the championship. So all y'all is about to start paying on those furnitures. You owe Jordan some money, man. I hope y'all didn't stop y'all payments. Y'all was close. but no cigar. You dig? You heard? But yeah, in watching that game, I was concerned. I was definitely concerned because I watched the earlier game and I look at the size alone. We're scrappy, with UConn, but we're not big. Like, you can't teach size. You can't give size away, right? So for me, watching all of that, I was like, yo, it's gonna be tough for UConn to get by, but I still had them getting by. Um, that's how Saturday ended. And then Sunday brought in the national championship game for the women's side. Um, at this point, guys, I ain't even gonna hold you. I was rooting for UCLA. I was already a fan of bets, but you knock out my team and then you put belt to ass. I want somebody to put belt to ass to you as well. Boy, oh boy, was my prayers answered. Y'all can even ask my wife. I was saying they're celebrating when I didn't even watch the game, to be honest. I didn't tune into the game until I saw at halftime UCLA was up, and I was like, all right, cool. But it's only halftime. Don Staley and them, they're gonna clamp down that defense, and then they're gonna make a run for it. They're just too athletic, and they play great defense. And on the other side, it's just bets, right? Yeah, they got other talent. They got the Hawk ass kid, um, which by the way was, in my opinion, the X factor of that game and the national championship game, and on to why they are champions. But like I said, I was ruined. It could have been Texas. It could have been somebody for Timbuktu. I don't care. I was gonna be rooting for them to win against South Carolina, but I did not see this coming. I did not see this belt to ass coming. But I was so happy that I saw this belt to ass to South Carolina. Golly. You know what I'm talking about? 79-51. The UCLA Bruins win their first national championship in school history on the women's side with a victory, a resounding victory. Guys, 79-51 was the final score, but I don't even think like it gives the justice to what we witnessed in that game. UCLA showed up and inserted their dominance from the very beginning. They said we didn't care if you were defending champs. We didn't come this far just to come this far. And they played like it. They played every possession like it was the last 45 seconds in the fourth quarter and they're down by 2. That's what it felt like to me. It was like nonstop go, digging it out, hustle plays, winning the margins. I was like, yo, yeah, I was destined to win this. Based off of what I saw, like, I told my wife later on that day, I'm glad UConn lost because if that same UConn showed up and you're undefeated, you get to the national championship game and you let the UCLA Bruins women put belt to ass the way they did to South Carolina, oh man, there was gonna be hell to pay in sores. You know what I mean? But congratulations yet again to the UCLA Bruins women for winning their first national championship. And then March came to a close last night. March Madness came to a close last night, in where we saw the number 1 Michigan Wolverines take on the number 2 UConn Huskies. Guys, that game lived up to the hype. It was the first game that we watched and witnessed where it wasn't belt to ass type situation. Like, it was a competitive game. It was going back and forth. It was just so great to watch good basketball. And you know what I mean? And it was like, and then my UConn Huskies, they go down. I believe they were down by like 13 or so. I know at halftime they was down, and then it was by the time they came back, at one point they was down like 13. I was like, oh shit, we about to fucking lose this one. All right, it is what it is, man. I guess it wasn't our year. I went from having both of us win to not even making it to the national championship, and another one looking like they about to start getting routed real quick. But they made a rally. but it just wasn't enough. Number one, Michigan goes to hold on and win the game 69-63 over the UConn Huskies. No controversy at the end of this one. Thank you, Jesus, because we all know Hurley can get into some controversial moves. But it's unfortunate. UConn had a great run. I think during this offseason, I'm pretty sure Hurley's going to try to beef up size. You know, you're looking at some of these teams, like a Michigan, even in the Illinois game, even though they won convincingly, you saw that the lack of size and depth played a very key role in some of these games to the point where they ended up losing to Michigan. Michigan was just too big. It's just too big and too athletic. And even with UConn being the scrappy team that they are, they did make a run. I never really felt like they was going to take the game from them, you know? But it is what it is. I'm not going to take away from UCLA. I'm not going to take away from who won this? Michigan. I'm not going to take away from those teams. They earned it. They played their rounds. They beat the teams that was placed in front of them, and they didn't ask no questions. They just along the way they put a lot of belt to ass, like they was your daddy and they was your mama. And congratulations to those programs. But now you fair to be the hunted. Don't sleep on your laurels. You saw what happened in Florida. You saw what happened on the women's side as well, you know. You can be beat. That's the beauty of March Madness. That's why we love it so much. Because you just don't know. It's not a best of 7. You lose, you going home. Night, season over. You dig? Let's jump onto On Ice. This is On Ice is where we cover the NHL. NHL's coming to a wrap, guys. I believe this is like the NBA. This is their last full week, and their season will end. But my Bruins, I have 3 games left on the season. But these fools decided that they're gonna go ahead and drop. They went on a road trip for 4 games and went 0-4. These fools couldn't get one game on the road. And I sat here last week and I told y'all they liable to go. What did I say? I said they were liable to go like 2-1 or 1-3 because of what they had on the schedule. You're talking about they had games against the pesky Florida Panthers. They go ahead and lose that one 2-1. Then they went to Tampa Bay. They went and lost that one 3-1. They jet set it over to Philadelphia and lose that one 2-1. And then on the last game of the road trip, they go ahead and drop it to Carolina 6-5 in overtime. 0-4 on the road. And granted, you have been locked into that number one, the spot of the wild card number 1. But I'm gonna have to side with the people that know and watch hockey more than I do, right? They was saying there and saying like, listen, the Bruins is not better than these teams that are saying that 1-4. They're a first round exit. I don't care how you have a 4-point cushion over the next guy behind you, and you're 6 points back. 6 points back don't mean nothing. You ain't making them 6 games. So where you are is where you are. You're gonna go on the road. And you're going to be a first round exit. And then you're going to have to figure it out next year. I don't know what went wrong, how it went wrong. Right now they stand at a record of 43, 26, and 10 with 96 points. And like I said, honestly, I feel as though they're a first round exit because right now, if they hold on to that number 1 wild card spot, that would put them in a position to potentially be playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, who they just lost to on the road 3-1. And I think Tampa Bay is not going to play with them. Tampa Bay going to put them to sleep real fast. If not a full sweep, at least a gentleman's sweep, you know? So that's where I stand on this hockey stuff. I don't know too much about hockey. I love the excitement of the fights. It's the one time where it could go 2-1 or 1-0, and it's actually pretty cool because so much is happening. And ain't like with when it comes to the game of football or soccer to me, where it's like, man, we ran around for 90 minutes, 2 hours, plus extra time, and that's it. 1-0, like that's crazy to me. But let's go ahead and jump over to this court vision situation. This is where we cover the world of the NBA and WNBA. We already told you about the Andrew Reese being traded from the Chicago Sky to the Atlanta Dream for 2 first-round picks. I love that move for everybody. We wasn't gonna get along. We might as well just move this along. And I reports are saying that Angel Reese was not the one to request a trade. So for all the Angel Reese haters out there, don't start that narrative now. Chicago decided to trade her for whatever reasons that they may have. In other headlines, this one is so all right. The the Milwaukee Bucks has put out that Giannis Antetokounmpo is injured. Giannis has said that the team has not come to him to say that they're bringing him back to play. Giannis has claimed that he wants to play. But the reports are that the team has said, hey, if you want to play and you feel as though you're ready to go, there's a protocol. You have to do 3, 5, 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 and 5-on-5 scrimmages before you get cleared to play. According to reports, Giannis does not want to do that. So Giannis is not playing. But now Giannis is pouting on the sidelines because for those that don't know, both his brothers are in the NBA. Both his brothers were signed to the Milwaukee Bucks. When it was just one, I don't know what the Alex kid is gonna end up growing up to be, but Thanasis is a G League player at best, but should be playing overseas, to be completely honest. You're only in the NBA because your brother is who your brother is. And, there's history that could be made where Giannis could be the first player to play with both his brothers on a team, right? And that would be kind of dope. We just heard Steph Curry talk about playing with Seth Curry for the first time since high school, right? It's amazing. LeBron James and playing with his son. These are some dope ass storylines. I get it, right? And if you really want to do that, you can't tell the organization go pound sand somewhere. And you don't want to go through the protocol, right? Go through the protocols, get cleared, and you can play with your brothers. But now it's to the point where now the league is involved, running an investigation because the Bucks are saying that Giannis is hurt. Giannis is saying publicly, and when questioned about it, supposedly, allegedly, however you want to say it, that he's not hurt. He's ready and available to play, but the team's just not allowing him to play. And there was a reports some weeks or maybe a month or so ago where they approached Giannis about shutting it down, and Giannis said no, he does not want to shut it down. But now they're saying that he's not cleared to play, and it's ugly. So now the league is investigating this, and to be honest, guys, this marriage is gonna come to a divorce, and it's gonna come to a divorce soon. I think during this offseason, we already saw the writings on the wall. Milwaukee was trying to get a haul for Giannis, but everybody knows that Giannis wants out. This is going to be very dysfunctional. At this point, the Bucks is probably I'm not going to say take what you could get, because this is a generational talent. It's Giannis we're talking about here. You get as much compensation as you could possibly get, but just know that a lot of people are going to lowball you right now because they know that he wants out, and there's strain on this relationship. And you might as well just, so when the season ends, figure it out then, right? Yeah, that's what I got on that. Speaking of cleaning house, the Bulls go ahead and get rid of their entire front office. Something that should have been done a long time ago, to be quite frank. You're talking about a team and their front office that's been okay with being mediocre. As long as we get into the play-in, it's a successful season. Year in and year out, playing. Like, come on. Put something competitive out there for the fans and for the product, and try to do something. Or, I'm not a component of tanking, but take your ass out of the damn playing and actually go get you a player in one of these drafts that could change your franchise around. I don't know. They got to figure it out. And Billy O is probably looking at the writing on the wall like, damn, I hope they hold on to me, or I might be out of a job going to do some analyst work till I find another job, because the next group is, they didn't hire him. Maybe they leave him on for a year, see how he does, and then move on from that. So, in other news, the Lakers. Oof, added insult to injury, man. The Lakers go ahead and lose Luka and AR to injury, and Luka's the reports just came out that he is done for the season. Um, Unfortunate. The Lakers was on a little bit of a tear. They was never going to catch San Antonio and OKC, but they was supplanted at that number 3 seed, and you know, Luke AR goes down. Luka's now down. It ain't looking good for the Lakers. You're talking about a team that was built defensively because you had your offensive power between Luka, LeBron, and AR, but now 2/3 of your offensive is gone, and the only one that's left is a 41-year-old to lead the way. And you know, one of the greatest to ever play the game. And I've watched LeBron do it countless of times, drag teams into playoffs. Thank God that they built themselves this great of a record to withstand what's about to come down the pike. But without Luka, without AR, first round exit. And I'm the biggest LeBron fan out here, but first round exit. I don't see anything else but that. 2/3 of your offense gone, and I don't see where offense is coming from for the other players that you have on your team. And now you're just relying on LeBron to and night in and night out to be putting 40+ points up. I could see it a couple times, but night in and night out, nah, I'm not seeing that. They're gonna go and they go ahead and drop down to 4th in the West. Last I was checking, so we'll see how that all plays out. Steph comes back and drops 29 in a loss versus the Rockets, and he actually could have won the game too. He had the opportunity, and it was up, it was in line, and I was like, oh shit, the chef's back, man. The babyface assassin. He had a good line on that shot, but it just didn't drop. But you're talking about 26 minutes, drops 29 points. Listen, if I'm a team in the play-in, I could see the Warriors getting out of the play-in, and I like Steph and Draymond said, just get into the playoffs and see what happens there. You know, I'd be afraid of a Steph Curry team with Draymond on it. They're just too smart, too good, and got the championship pedigree. But I will say this, they're just going to be pesky. I don't see them actually knocking out one of these top teams because you're talking about where you're at. You're either facing San Antonio or you're facing OKC, right? So that's that. Wemby goes and leave. Wemby goes like it was a choice for him. Wemby leaves the game with a bruised rib. That's gonna be key. We'll need to see what the news is on that one, because even though I looked it up, I think the Spurs are 11-2 without Wemby this season, so it's not like they can't win without him. But that cheat code kind of dissipates, and when you're talking about the playoffs, it's a different animal. It's not the regular season. You're not gonna be coming into town for one game and on a night of a back to back and all that stuff. Like teams will be ready to go during the playoffs. Teams' defensive game plans change. How they gonna operate? How they move things around? Their offensive game plan is different also, right? So we'll see how this this definitely will affect the playoffs for sure. I'm not saying that seeding's going to change for San Antonio. They got so far of a lead up that I know they're trying to catch OKC right now. That race is a little tight. Do I see that happening? Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see what happens there. And in better news, Cade Cunningham is nearing a return. In their last game versus the Orlando Magic, he was upgraded to doubtful before being ruled out. So that goes to show us that he will be coming back soon. With maybe 2 or 3 games left on the season before it wraps up. Try to get his legs and rust back up underneath him, because the Detroit Pistons have been doing their things without Cade Cunningham. Now, when Cade comes back and less touches with some of these players that's been going off, how does it look then? I mean, they said that about my Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum coming back. How's it going to look for JB and the rest of the crew? It seems to work perfectly fine. So, looking forward to see a healthy Cade on the court, and let's see how real these Detroit Pistons are really about, right? Let's go ahead and go through the scores rundown. This past week, I went 12-5. Two still pending, but I'm gonna give myself the victory. One of them is the Thunder over the Lakers, and last I checked, it was putting belt to ass on that one. And then the other one was the Suns versus the Rockets, and the Rockets was down by 2 points by the time I logged on. I don't know where it's at right now, but let's see what we got going on. Ciao. But let's first run through the games that happened before that. On Wednesday night, the Celtics beat down on the Heat in South Beach, 147 to 129. JT dropped it 25, 18, and 11, and JB go ahead and drop a 43 bomb on them. The J brothers have been nasty. They've been not nice to everybody that's come in front of them. Have they dropped one or two along the way? Yeah, but they ain't doing nothing nice. All right. So I could go ahead and report that I did go 12-5 from last week, thus making my overall record 101 to 75. Ooh wee! I came back, y'all. Remember when we first started doing the picks, and I was about to quit. I was not gonna be doing picks anymore because I was sucking. But I realized I wasn't watching games, so I was picking blindly. And then once I started watching games, I was able to do a little bit better with my picks. Do I miss out on something? Absolutely. And I do pad my stats down too. This is the NBA. I know how to pad stat. But shout out to the J brothers holding it down in South Beach and putting belt to ass from the Celtics over the Heat, 147 and 129. The Spurs continue to roll on Wednesday night as they beat the Warriors 127 and 113. And we're going to jump right into the Thursday night games. The Thursday night games, I saw the Hornets beat the Suns decisively, 127 to 107. The Pistons go ahead and take care of business and keep winning without Cade over the Wolves, 113 to 108. The Thunder, Jesus Christ. This is the game we was talking about earlier when I was talking about Luka getting injured. The Thunder embarrassed the Lakers. The Thunder at beat the Lakers 42 points, 139 to 96 in prime time. Where Shea is, the talks about Luka being the MVP, Shea being the MVP, and Shea said it best. He said, I'm going to let my game do the talking for me. And ever since he said that, boy, let me tell you something. He been terrorizing the league. And I've been the one that's been beating on the drum, JB deserves it because look at what he did, yada, yada, yada. I still believe that, and I still stand by it. I feel as though JB should be in the top 3 voting, bare minimum, when it comes to this MVP stuff. I think right now, Star Polls had him at like 5 or 6 or something like that. Whatever. These are the people that look at the analytics stuff or whatever. They look at the numbers. They look at the plus minus. I don't give a shit about no freaking plus minus. You know what I care about? Y'all said that this was going to be a gap year. Was only going to win 37 games. In turn, this man took his game to another level, unlocked it, led this team that you gutted, got rid of all our offensive, rebounding, defensive players, and JT's out for what look potentially being the entirety of the season. And you said we was only going to win 37 games. And what did he do? He won 50 games. But we've talked about this. I digress. What I'm watching out of Shea right now, my eyeballs are telling me, yes, this is an MVP caliber type of season. And then the numbers back it, right? But I'm not going to get off this soapbox of mine where JB deserves to be in there also. You know what I mean? But yeah, the Thunder's out here just embarrassing the Lakers. 139-96 on prime time. MVP versus potential MVP candidate. If you listen to everybody say it, and Vegas says it, it's been a two-person race this entirety of the time for the longest. And to add insult to injury, Luka gets injured in this game with a hamstring, which did just come out not too long ago saying that it is a grade 2 strain. So it looks like Luka is going to be out for about 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe he's saying that he's going to go out to Germany. As a procedure, he could go to Europe to get done. I'm assuming it's stem cell research type procedures that he could do to come back a little bit earlier. But so we'll see how that one plays out. But man, oh man, you're talking about no Luka, no AR. Marcus Smart was already out, and now you just got to rely on a 41-year-old. Life's gonna be tough for the Los Angeles Lakers, and then you're watching the teams that you're gonna have to go through. Maybe you get out of the first round without Luka, but No Luka, no AR in that first round. I don't see how you're doing it. I just don't. But yeah, let's continue on with these games. The Cavs go into Golden State and edge them out on the road 118 to 111. The Spurs show their dominance over the West and the league with another win over the Clippers 118 to 99. And then on Friday night, you saw the Celtics keep rolling with a win over the Bucks 133 to 101. This is the game where the shit hit the fan between Giannis and the front office, where it was a tweet that was going out right in the middle of the game. Sham tweeted out something about the league investigating the Bucks based off of the injury report situation. But the J brothers are on fire. It didn't matter what was going on over there. It was going to do what they wanted to do, winning that game. The 76ers take care of business at home and win over the Wolves 115 to 103. Saturday's games, we saw the Heat play the lowly Wizards, and surprise, surprise, the Heat win 152 to 136. Finally, the Spurs go down for just what might be the second or third time since February, them losing a game. They went on the road and lost a tight one to the Nuggets, 136 to 134. The Pistons are making sure that they keep rolling. They keep the Celtics away with another win on the road, beating the 76ers 116 to 93. We really need to re-look at the Pistons, and by we, I'm talking about me. I was the first one to jump on the phone and say, oh my God, the Detroit Pistons are done. No Cade Cunningham. They're finished. They don't got another scorer. They don't have shooters, yada, yada, yada. I was wrong. But and I have said this also. When the star player goes down, everybody else now gets to elevate their games. They get more touches. They get more shot selection. They're not deferring to the star. So I don't think we were wrong. I just think now we got to really look at them as some serious contenders. Because I've been sitting here saying like, I don't believe because they haven't shown me or given me a reason to believe, right? Do I still think that there's other teams that are head and shoulders better than them right now as constructed, but time will tell. Playoffs are coming. And if Cade comes back healthy, that's what I want. I don't want somebody to knock out the Detroit Pistons without a Cade and think you actually really did something. You know what I mean? Do it with Cade on the court. That's all I got on that one. Sunday's games, the Celtics keep their win streak alive with a win against the Raptors 115 to 101. The Hornets beat up on the Wolves on the road with a win 122 to 108. And then Monday's games come in, of course. I pick against these weirdo Knicks to lose against the Hawks, right? The red hot Hawks. What happens? They go ahead on the road and edge out the Hawks 108 to 105. Anyway, moving on. Pistons finally dropped one against the Magic 123 to 107. The Magic is another team like the Knicks that I just don't understand. They have the talent, they have the roster, they have the coaching, but they just can't put a streak of wins together. So I don't see them going too far in the playoffs also. The Spurs put the 76ers in the corner. They put baby in the corner. 115 to 102 with a win at home. And then Tuesday, like I told you guys, I just got back in from this one. It was a great game over in TD Garden. The Hornets came to town. Celtics rallied back from being down about 12 points. We didn't wake up until like midway through the fourth quarter. And then rallied back to win against the Hornets with a 113 to 102 victory behind JB's 35-9-3 game. Jason Tatum had an okay night. I think there's gonna be those type of like up and down type situations for him. It wasn't like it was some shit game. I believe he ended the game with like 23 points and 9 rebounds and 4 assists or something like that. So the J brothers are just gonna keep rolling. I think they're going to definitely make a run into this playoffs. And who's to say that they can come out the East? I think myself and a lot of people have them as the favorites to come out of the East right now because they just are clicking and they're just rolling. And you can't tell somebody that you're going to add one of the best players to a team and they're going to be worse off, right? So anyways, Thunder are putting belt to ass to the Lakers currently, and like I said, they did end up winning that game. The Rockets did come back and beat the Suns in their game. Promising win for the Rockets. Still kind of iffy on them because of how their season has been going. But again, the playoffs bring on a different animal, so let's see how that turns out. Let's jump over to the standings. In the Eastern Conference, you got the Detroit Pistons at 57-22. They've been clinched a playoff spot. The Celtics right behind him at 54-25. They also clinched a playoff spot. At number 3, you got the New York Knicks at 51-28. They've already clinched as well. At number 4, you got the Cleveland Cavaliers at 50-29. At number 5, you got the Hawks at 45-34. At number 6, you got the Raptors at 44-35. At number 7, you got the 76ers at 43-36. Then followed them with the Orlando Magic at 8 at 43-36, and the Hornets are now at 9 at 43-37, because with the Heat losing again, they just slid themselves down to number 10 in the play-in tournament. They just clinched their play-in berth, and with a record of 41-38. Over in the Western Conference, you still got the league leading OKC Thunder at 63-16. Been clinched in division. The Spurs are the next team with 60 wins season, 60 wins on the season so far at 60-19. Right behind them at number 2. At number 3, you got the Denver Nuggets at 51-28. Who just climbed over the Los Angeles Lakers, who dropped a couple of games. A few of them embarrassed by the Oklahoma City Thunder in back-to-back games. So the Lakers are now 50-29 at 4. In the 5 hole, you got the Houston Rockets at 49-29. At number 6, you got the Timberwolves at 47-32. Then you have the Suns in at 7 at 43-35, followed by the Clippers at 8 at 40-38. The Trailblazers at 9 at 40-39, and the Warriors sitting at the number 10 spot at 36-42. Let's go ahead and jump into my Lucky 7's top rankings for this week. This week, my Lucky 7 top rankings, no tiebreakers at number 7. Last week I had Cleveland and Knicks sitting there. This time I just pulled the Cleveland Cavs straight up on this one. Yeah, the Knicks just won the game, but like I said before, I just trust Cleveland a little bit more than I trust the New York Knicks. In at number 6 this week, I put the Detroit Pistons in at number 6. I also this week at number 5, I'm still holding on to the LA Lakers, but I'm pretty sure by next week they'll be out of my Lucky 7 top rankings going into the playoffs. I don't see them as a top 5 team. They're looking at a potential first round exit due to injury, right? You can't beat injury. So at number 4, I got the Denver Nuggets on my Lucky 7's top ranking. At number 3, I got the San Antonio Spurs hanging out there. And then I got the Boston Celtics coming at number 2 and the Oklahoma City Thunder in at 1. I still have my finals pick. I have the Oklahoma City Thunder representing the West and the Boston Celtics coming out of the East. I'm telling you, I'll sign up for that all day, every day. Give me 7 of those. My heart palpitations ain't going to take it too well, but it's going to be great for basketball. Let's go ahead and jump into this week's lineup and whom I'm picking. Like I said last week, I went 15-5. Overall, I'm now 101-75, y'all. Wednesday night, we're gonna go Hawks at the Cavs. Go ahead and give me the Cavs in this one. The Wolves travel over to the Orlando Magic. The Wolves have been on a little seesaw. The Magic, they've been weird all year, but I'm gonna take the Magic on this one. The Bucks go ahead and travel to the Pistons. Kate Cunningham might return. That's the only reason why I put this one on my list. I want to watch this one if he does return. See how he's moving. See how the team is operating now that he's back. Then I have the Thunder at the Clippers. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Thunder in that matchup. Thursday night games, I have the Celtics traveling to the New York Knicks. I'm taking the Celtics. Duh. I think it's both teams want to prove something to the other. So yeah, But the Knicks needed a whole lot more to proving grounds than the Celtics do, that's for sure. The 76ers go to town against the Rockets. I'll go ahead and take the Rockets in that one. The Lakers are at the Warriors. No Luka, no AR. I'm taking the Warriors on that one. The babyface assassin's back. And you got Draymond. Friday, you have the Pelicans going to the Celtics. Go ahead and give me the Celtics in that one. The Pistons are at the Hornets. I'll take the Hornets in that one. Cavs at the Hawks. Give me the Hawks. Raptors at the Knicks. I'll go ahead and take the Knicks. The Thunder at the Nuggets. I'll take the Nuggets on that one. The Wolves at the Rockets, and I'll take the Wolves. Saturday brings us no games. Sunday, I'll take the Magic are coming to town to face the Celtics. I'll go ahead and take the Celtics in that one. The Hornets are at the Knicks. I'll take the Knicks in that one. Probably should have took the Hornets instead of what I just saw. They could beat the Knicks. Or whatever. The Nuggets are at the Spurs. I'll take the Nuggets. The Warriors at the Clippers. I'll take the Warriors. Monday night has no games, and Tuesday starts to playing, y'all. Just like that. This time next week, we're talking about playoffs. Playoffs, baby. So let's go ahead and wrap up the show with the legacy moment and the final word. I'm going to keep it brief. I'm going to keep it simple because one of these stories I already talked about. It's the Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders are showing teams, in theory, right? They made this Kirk Cousins signing. I hope that they stick to their guns and actually play Kirk Cousins and develop Mendoza. So you don't want to throw him to the wolves too early and damage that shiny new toy that you got. I already beat this horse a little bit, but it's still worth mentioning again how I feel some organizations should be treating these high draft picks, especially when it comes to the quarterback. You're a high draft pick for a reason. You wasn't a quarterback away. You was a high draft pick because your team was bad. You had probably one of the worst records, if not the worst record, right? You're by the time when you're picking at the top like that, and it wasn't a trade that happened, and you own somebody else's draft pick, you want to make sure that you're keeping. You don't want an Andrew Luck situation where you get a generational talent and you put him in a bad situation. It looks okay early, and then it starts to struggle on, and then you can't protect him, and then next thing you know, he's retiring. Now your whole franchise is set back. The last thing I want to touch in on is this controversy that's going on right now with this NBA 65 game rule. And the controversy is, for those that don't know, in order to qualify for end of season awards and being placed on all pro teams and all that other stuff, any type of accolades that you could get as an individual player, you must play 65 games. The reason why the league had to incorporate this is because of trying to go away from tanking, making players actually play in the games. End of the day, it's a business, and they try to make sure that they have the best product on the court. People are paying their hard-earned money. The sponsors are buying ads and all this other stuff. Deals are being made based off of the product that's on the court. And then a lot of the times and it wasn't a whole bunch. There was just a bunch of habitual offenders to the point where they had to create a rule. Now this rule and this is all in a vacuum, guys. This is 1 year where this is happening. And I believe this 65 game rule is on the second or if not third year right now. Everybody's in a brouhaha uproar because Cade Cunningham at this moment will not be eligible for awards. Luka just got shut down for the entirety of the season at 64 games. So that means he's not going to be eligible. Wemby just got hurt, and we don't know what his situation is. And if he's out for too long, he won't be eligible for awards. There's other players that are not going to be eligible for awards, and rightfully so. Jason Tatum, he was gone for a whole season. But the thing is, when you're talking about Wade and the Lukas and potentially Wemby, our eyes saw that these are MVP players. They could be comeback players. They could be whatever it is that there is. But because of a rule that's in place, they're not going to be eligible. How I feel about this, I don't mind the rule. The rule should be enforced. But I caveat and say this. there should be some type of wording or verbiage where you're looking at a Cade Cunningham or Luka Doncic. Were they gonna win the MVP? It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's Shea's to lose, and Wemby's making a case to take it, right? But to be able to not make all pro or even get a couple first place votes and a bunch of second and thirds and all that other stuff because of one game, it does sound a little crazy because we watched what you did. You just so happened to miss one too many and then you got injured. I feel as though I do agree with this. If a player gets legitimately hurt and then has to be shut down and is going to miss by 1 to 3 games, I think you leave it to the voters at that point. But you have to give that criteria. Like, what is it? Is it you're short 1 or 2 games, but in those games that you're playing, you was playing at MVP caliber and you deserve to be, fine. But other than that, you made the rule, stick to it. Because the competition and the product that was on the court, it was inferior at one point, to the point where you had to create a rule. That's why you're trying to change up all-star games and all that stuff. So it is what it is. Not too much of a rant for you guys this week. It's just something to think about, right? I love what the Raiders are doing, and the NBA 65 rule, I do agree with it. But it kind of sucks for some of these players that's gonna miss out on 1 or 2 games, right? So, in any event, I don't think I gave y'all any real controversy, so y'all to be all up in my DMs later on. But I'm pretty sure you're gonna find it. But while you're in my comments like that, go ahead and join. Go ahead and subscribe to Please Excuse My Balls. Like the episode. Follow me on social media and tell me where I went wrong outside of the comments. Till then, go debate yourself. I said what I said and I meant it. See you next week. Peace.